Welcome to Everyday Economics, a podcast that helps you learn about the economic world happening around you every day. I'm your host, Chris Krug, president of the 501c3 nonprofit Franklin News Foundation. Everyday Economics is a production of America's Talking Network. You can check out all of our great podcasts at americastalking.com. To support Everyday Economics, please make your tax-deductible charitable contribution by clicking the link in the show description. We are recording today's episode on Tuesday, March 21st, and joining me as always is Dr. Orphe Divounguy, PhD economist. Dr. O, February housing numbers are in. Very, very interesting. Home sales are up 14.5% in February, and straight off of the CNBC headline that's sitting in front of me, the median price drops for the first time in a decade. So the playing field is very interesting right now. Houses are moving. I've noticed that anecdotally, surprisingly so, and across the board. What's going on in the market?
And we called this, we said sales were going to bottom, and sales bottomed because buyers are out in full force, trying to take advantage of even the smallest dip improvement in housing affordability, right? Any improvement in housing affordability is bringing out buyers, especially in markets that are relatively more affordable, that are not as expensive as in the Southwest and the West, where house prices were just astronomical and had risen out of control during the pandemic. 4.58 million existing homes were sold, right, at the seasonal adjusted annual rate, right? It's up 14.5% from January and down from last year. So we know home buying demand has fallen compared to kind of the overheated, feverish housing market of the pandemic, but home buying demand is still stronger today than it was before the pandemic. Competitively priced homes are selling fast. And that actually means that there's still some competition out there for home buyers.
Well, I've got a good friend who's a realtor in Pittsburgh, and he happened to list a home in my neighborhood where I grew up. He put it on the market on Friday. And this is a house that's priced in, this is going to sound for people that are listening around the country like, this must be some, ramshackle, very nice home, 4-bedroom, 2-bath. The home was priced in the low 200s. And he indicated, I saw on a Facebook post, that he had over a dozen offers and that the property sold for double-digit percentage above asking this weekend. Things seem to be moving. Now, I have to ask you this question. And then we talk about data, and there's just different sort of batches and bundles of data. The homes that are closing now would have nothing to do with the anecdote that I just described to you, where the friend of mine who's the realtor just, got an offer accepted on a home this past weekend. The houses that we're talking about in this data are homes that would have closed most likely at the end of December or at the beginning of January. Rates were a little bit lower then, not much. We are now looking at, data that's to come, which will be perhaps a little bit different because the number of mortgages that were requested in the month of January, haven't seen February data yet, but in the month of January were markedly lower. So could you harmonize that for the benefit of people's understanding? What's to come here?
Yes, mortgage rates have ticked up since, right? But there's a big but here. Home sales are basically a mixed bag of seasonal factors and the unusually high mortgage rate volatility. What that means is at this time of the year, we expect inventory to increase. We expect more homes coming on the market, right? The spring home buying season. We also expect shopping activity to tick up. So the increase in sales is somewhat expected at this time of the year. Now, what we saw in January was higher than expected newly pending listings. So sales were actually higher. The activity was much higher than typical for this time of the year.
But weren't mortgage applications lower?
In January, mortgage applications surged, right? Because we saw the dip in mortgage rates. And same thing in February. So what we're seeing is buyers are really coming out. The number of buyers on the market right now is higher than we would have expected for this time of the season. The season is just getting started and buyers are out in full force. Now, the problem for these buyers is that they're still constrained by a lack of inventory. New listings, the number of homes coming on the market for sale is down 22% when compared to last year. And so you have a situation where buyers are seeing mortgage rates decline and saying, hey, maybe I shouldn't wait. Maybe I should take advantage of the low mortgage rate. The labor market is still strong and people still have jobs. And so they're moving, but then they come on the market and they realize that there's just not that much to choose from.
Hold on a second. What's going on with mortgage applications? So, it was just a month ago that you and I talked about mortgage applications going down. Now I'm looking this up because I was thinking maybe I'm losing my mind. But no, there's a recovery, as has been reported in the last couple of weeks, about mortgage demand going up. So what is happening in that part of the market? What's driving that? Why is that? I'm sorry to fixate on this, but I want to provide accurate information with regard to the questions I asked. Mortgage applications were down. That had been widely reported in January.
So they were down, definitely down when compared to last year, right? Housing market activity has fallen relative to a year ago, but it started ticking up again. So what happened in January is we saw 4 consecutive months of declining mortgage rates. Mortgage applications go up. Mortgage applications fall again. And then mortgage application starts going back up, right? Say they've been moving with the volatility in mortgage rates. And what that tells me is that buyers are extremely sensitive to these changes in mortgage rates and that you have a lot of pent-up demand. You have a lot of people ready and willing to jump as soon as they see a small change in affordability. They're willing and ready to come back into this housing market. But unfortunately, the National Association of Realtors came out with their existing home sales today, and their chief economist said, we're seeing historically low inventory for this time of the year. And that is the biggest challenge for home buyers today. They have the affordability challenges. They have the swings, the high volatility in mortgage rates. But on top of that, they have to deal with very low inventory. So my advice for potential home buyers today is make sure you work with an agent. Make sure you got an agent that is out there that is going to help you find the right home that fits within your budget, because there's just not that much inventory in most markets. Now, of course, the expensive markets that have seen the disproportionate slowdown are seeing higher increases in inventory, but they're very much concentrated in the West.
Appreciate the thoughts as always. For Orphe Divounguy, this has been Chris Krug. Subscribe to Everyday Economics and dozens of other quality podcasts at americastalking.com.
Freedom and liberty are important to all of us. If you're looking for civil, intellectual conversations with those shaping the future of freedom, try the Future of Freedom podcast with me, Scott Bertram. We speak with leaders across the country in the greater conservative and libertarian movements. In-depth conversations about where the next intellectual battles will happen across the country. It's the Future of Freedom podcast. Find it at americastalking.com or wherever you get your podcasts.